love, he thought it was the truth. Because in fact was up and for all my eyes to go. Only up there.
Has this fellow no feeling of his business, he sings in grave making.
Custom hath made in him a property of easiness.
'Tis even so, the hand with little employment hath the daintier sense.
With his feet and steps across the and had it moved into the land as if I never been such.
That skull had a tongue in it that could sing once. How the knave jowls it to the ground as if it were Cain's jawbone that did the first murder. This might be the pate of a politician, which this ass now overreaches. One that would circumvent God, might it not?
It might, my lord.
Or of a courtier, which could say, "Good morrow, sweet lord, how dost thou, sweet lord?" This might be my lord, such a one, that praised my lord such a one's horse when he went to beg it, might it not?
Aye, my lord.
Why, even so, and now my lady worms, chapless and knocked about the mazzard with a sexton's spade. Here's fine revolution, and we had the trick to see it. Do these bones cost no more than the breeding, but to play at loggets with them? Mine ache to think on it.
A pickaxe and a spade for and a shrouding sheet. Oh, a pit of clay to be made for such a guest is meet.
There's another. Why may not that be the skull of a lawyer? Where be his quiddities now, his quilities, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Why does he suffer this mad knave now to knock him about the sconce with a dirty shovel, and will not tell him of his actions of battery? This fellow might be in time a great buyer of land, with his statutes, his recognizances, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries. Is this the fine of his fines, and the recovery of his recoveries, to have his fine pate full of fine dirt? Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases, and double ones too, than the very length and breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyance of his lands will scarcely lie in this box. And must the inheritor himself have no more, huh?
Aye, not a jot more, my lord.
Is not parchment made of sheepskins?
Aye, and of calfskin too, my lord.
They are sheep and calves which seek out assurance in that. I will speak to this fellow.
Whose grave is this, sirrah?
Mine, sir. Oh, a bit of clay to be made for such a guest is meet.
I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
You lie out on it, sir, and therefore 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it, to be in it, and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick. Therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away again from me to you.
What man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
What woman then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir, but rest her soul, she's dead.
How absolute the knave is! We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, this 3 years I have took none of it. The age is grown so picked that the toe of the peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier, he galls his nibe. How long hast thou been a grave maker?
Of all the days in the year, I came to it that day that our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was that very day that young Hamlet was born. He that is mad and sent into England.
Mary, why was he sent into England?
Why, because he was mad. He shall recover his wits there, or, if he do not, 'tis no great matter there.
Why?
'Twill not be seen in him there. There the men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely?
Faith, e'en with losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark. I've been sexton here, man and boy, 30 years.
And how long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Faith, if he be not rotten before he die, as we have many pocky courses nowadays that will scarce hold the laying in. It'll last you some 8 year or 9 year. A tanner will last you 9 year.
Why he more than another?
Why, sir, his hide is so tanned with his trade that it'll keep out water a great while. Near water's a sore decay of your horse and dead body. Here's a skull now hath lined you in the earth 3 and 20 years.
Whose was it?
A horse and mad fellow's it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. A poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once. This same skull, sir, was Sir Yorick's skull, the king's jester.
This?
E'en that.
Let me see. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him. Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how bored in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your gibes now, your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar? Not one now, to mock your own grinning? Quite chapfallen. Now get you to my lady's chamber, and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that.
Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that?
Dost thou think Alexander looked o' this fashion in the earth?
Even so.
And smelt so? Pah!
Even so, my lord.
To what base uses may we return? Horatio! Why may not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till it find us stopping a bunghole?
True, to consider too curiously to consider it so.
No faith. Not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesty enough, and likelihood to lead it, as thus Alexander died. Alexander was buried. Alexander returneth to dust. The dust is earth. Of earth we make loam, and why of that loam whereto he was converted might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay. Oh, that the earth which kept the world in awe should patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. But soft a while, here comes the king.